Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we're going to Masechtas Nedarim Daf Chaf Tes. We're going to begin on the very top of Chaf Tes and Aleph, the top line. Now, before we see this, let's remind ourselves of the Mishnah that we saw in yesterday's daf. A person said, "Hare netios elu carbon," that these saplings are going to be like a carbon. So on this, it says in the Mishnah, "Im ena niktsatzais," if they are not chopped down today, is how we interpret it. Or this talus is a carbon, if it's not burnt today, so we say yesh len pidyon. Even though, as you said, it could be a very gusty wind, it could be that very likely that this is going to happen, so maybe he wasn't really expecting it to somehow to occur, for not to burn, or for the trees not to be falled. So we say it doesn't make any difference. And Pidyon. That was the chiddush that we saw in yesterday's daf. That you would think maybe that again his netter shouldn't be chal. So kamashmon, that is actually it is chal. However, in the situation, if he says har netilos elu carbon ad shiktsu, said this is like a carbon only up until the trees have falled, until these saplings are cut down, or this talus is a carbon ad shiastaref, until it's burned. So he said ein lehem pidyon, there is no kedusha in that regard. Which, what does that mean? So we saw in Rashi, olam kolzman shel niktsu, as long as they're not cut down, they don't go to chulin el kedusha saying they remain kadosh, shehein kedushas haguf. So there's a sanctity in the item itself. So on this, when we said, quoting the Gemara again on Chav Chesed Beis by the two dots, har netios elu carbon, so Gemara asks l'olam. So is this something which is forever, that it has the status? So Omer Bar Pada, so he says, Padan chayzus kedashais, padan v'chayzus kedashais ad shiktsu, that even if you would redeem it, it still retains its kedusha until it's cut off. However, niktsu, once it's cut, padan pamachas v'dayai, all you need to do is cut it once and that's it. And then Ula says, Kivan Shiksu Shub Enu Paidan. So we saw in the Ran that the difference between Bar Pada and Ula is, let's just quote in the words of the Ran, the Svirli Rapad or Bar Pada, Shavapi Shal Higdishan El Ad Shiktsu, Tilhachi Kiniksu Lo Paka Kedushan Bechti. The Kedusha cannot just easily be automatically removed. However, Ula holds that that's not true. That even when it comes to this situation, the Kedushal Chor is removed. He says, again, according to the Rashba, he says, Ulu polig the Bar Pada el b'li acher shiktsu. The Bar Pada lo paka Kedush b'chti. Ulu paka, that it gets removed automatically. Of ad shiktsu, however, before it was cut down, the kolyam upon b'chayis kedashais. They all say it's kaddish. So we see it's actually a machlokas in the Ran, whether they argue only after the tree was cut, or even before so. Before the tree was cut down, it won't get resanctified if you're paida then too. So again, that is the two readings. But according to Bar Pada, the notion is that you could redeem it, but the pidyon won't help, as it won't remove the kedusha until it's cut down. And so that's one potential argument. Again, or in addition to that, it could be arguing whether or not after it's been cut down, does the Kedusha automatically leave. So with that said, let's begin our daf. Omer le Rab Hamnuna. So Rab Hamnuna says, look in Rashi, Ula, according to Ula, who says that the Kedusha is just automatically removed, he asks, how is it possible, without redeeming it, that the Kedusha is automatically removed? How is that possible? That's what he's going to ask. Kedusha shebehen lahechan holcha. It's Kedusha. Where did it go? How is that possible? So Gemara says, well, wait 1 second. If a person says to a woman, Hayoim at ishti. Today you are my wife. However, l'machar at ishti, and tomorrow you're not my wife. So mi nafka below get. So in that situation, would she be able to go out without a get? So we see that it shows that when it comes to kedushin, lo paka kedusha bichdi. It doesn't just automatically get removed, even though you said this statement. But once the kedusha or kedushin took place, that's it. You can't. The stipulation that you said afterwards is not going to be enough that it automatically retroactively gets removed. So l'chayra, that's what we should say in this situation as well. When it comes to our Mishnah to the notion of kedushin, let's look in in the Ran. V'hadul apol ula behedya amay diyomer bar pada padan chayzes gedashos mishum dul itzrach the bar pada gufe lo yomer hachi. Yafil achar shiktsul srichin pidyon, because he holds that even afterwards it needs pidyon. Mamela akula milsa polig ula. So he said again, it's possible they argue on both things, skipping a few lines down. Masnisin pligo lehad Rabbi Yochanan ein lehem pidyon patarla lekshiktsu. So it's explained once it's cut down ein lehem pidyon. Klemer ein srichos pidyon. So according to Ula, it doesn't need pidyon. So Amalei Rava mika medamas kedushas dam kedushas aguf. When it comes to the situation of a woman, that's kedushas aguf. So when it comes to kedushas damim paka bechdi, it does get removed, which is our case of our Mishnah. Kedushas aguf will paka bechdi. However, when we're talking about the kedusha on the woman herself, that's something which is not removed. So if we look in, so let's see the next line. Kedushas aguf lo paka bechdi. Is it true that he holds that even when it comes to kedushas aguf, it doesn't automatically get removed according to Ula? So now let's immediately go into the Ran. After the Abaye the maksha hachi polignami, maybe also argues this really the oimer isha hayoim at ishti. Today you're my wife. L'machar iat ishti, and tomorrow you're not. Till machar nafka get. Maybe it's possible that he holds that she could go without a get. Maybe even by kedushas aguf, it is pak b'chdi. So on this, skipping one more line, it says v'kinyan dama b'ishol ashkachan yashish teishto was man yedu avad. When we're dealing with kedushas damim, with kinyan damim, when you actually gave her money, so in that situation, it's impossible to say that the kedusha was paka b'chdi, because once you did a kinyan of damim, of money, so then of course that's it. We don't say that automatically the kedusha is removed. We're not going to say such a thing. So that's a phenomena that we see, which is unique when it comes to kedushi kesef. So therefore, no one's going to say when it comes to kedushas aguf by an isha that once there was a kinyan, it was a temporary kinyan, that you were just married for a short amount of time, for a day. We don't say that. Rather, we say that you need to do something. You need to give a get in order to remove it, because the kedusha is not paka b'chdi. So Gemara says, one in a second. Kedushas aguf lo paka b'chdi v'osanya. Shor ze oila. So let's say you have a situation where a person says that this particular animal is going to end up being a carbon oila. This is the declaration that they say. But it's kol amid yoim. It's only for 30 days. L'yachal amid yoim shlomim. Then after 30 days, it's not going to have the status of an oila, it's going to have the status of a shlomim. So kol amid yom, the first 30 days, oila. L'yachal amid yom shlomim. So we actually see that the kedusha from an ola is transferred now to a shlomim automatically. Back to Gemara, my kedusha is a guf ninhu upachd bechdi. So here we see that even when it comes to kedushas damim, when we even talk about kedushas aguf, which is this taste of a carbon, we still see that it's possible that it's pak bechdi. Where says 1 second? Hachamai skinan diarmu l'demei. It's not talking about a case of kedushas aguf. We're talking about where he said the value. He wasn't talking about the carbon itself. He was talking about the value of this shore, and therefore, because of that, maybe that's why we may say that the kedusha is removed automatically. But we wouldn't say that by kedushas aguf. Yachim is seifa. If you want to tell me this is the case of kedushas damim, let's look at the latter part of the statement. L'achol amid yom ola. What if it originally says after 30 days is an ola, u'miachshav shlomim. But from now it's a shlomim. Now, why does it mention two different situations? Maybe because one case is a kedushas agov, and the other one's a kedushas dam, and therefore, because of that, this would actually again show the great raya and the great chidush, rather, that this is a situation that even by kedushas agov, the kedusha is pak b'chdi. If you skip to the fourth last line on the Ran, says El Hachi Havi Lilamemer, Dolo Dami Ishil Hektish Mishum Dein Ishil Slachatsoyin. Ukamosha Kasati Lamala of Hektish Isi Lizman Yedua, Diafil Kedushas Guf Paka Bechdi. So it's shaykh that maybe when it comes to an Isha, you're right. You can't say that you're only married as Isha Slachatsoyin. You can't be half married. It doesn't work like that. Half pregnant, half married. So maybe over there, even though it's fine, it's kedushas aguf, maybe that's the one time we'll say the din is that, in fact, you need to do something. Kedusha is not going to automatically be removed. You need to give a get. Mashain Kain, when it comes to other forms of hektish, where it's possible it could be lizman yadua for a specific amount of time, so by kedushas haguf, it should still work. And therefore, again, the fact there's a ratio in the seifa must be coming to tell you two different things. Must be one's kedushas haguf and one's kedushas dam. Must we continue chavtasam beis? Hainu de itzrich latana lemisna tarti. That's why we mentioned two separate cases over there. The salka dait chamina. You would think that maybe to say that kedushas haguf will pak b'chdi. Then you would think maybe when it comes to kedushas haguf, it's not paka. Kedushas damim is paka b'chdi. So amtul hachi tanatarti. That's why he mentions both. So that it comes to tell you, no, don't think that, because the din is that even when it comes to kedushas haguf, the din is the kedusha is automatically removed. Eliyam, so that makes sense. Eliyam kedushas damim. If in fact you want to tell me the ratio is just kedushas damim, that's the reason why. But kedushas haguf taka would not be removed. So lamula misnatarti. Why does it mention two cases? Hasha now. Yesh lemar b'kedusha chamura kedusha kala paka. From a kedusha chamura to a kedusha kala, from an ola to a shlomim, it works. So a kedusha kala, kedusha chamura, it's tzricha meimar. So there's no need to mention it. So therefore, it must be a raya. Therefore, instead to teach us the chiddush that when it comes to kedusha haguf, the kedusha is paka b'chdi. Let's look at Rashi. Chamura kedusha kala paka ula shehi chamura, an oila rather shehi chamura or kedusha shlomim shehi kala. So he said that it can transfer from an ola to a shlomim, even though one is a kedusha chamura, one's kedusha kala. Kedusha kala kleimer shlomim de kala kedusha oila shehi chamura miboy. Why do you even have to mention that case? Elola must be because chad kedusha agov, chad kedusha damim. That's what it is. The tervayu paki. And it says over here, utiyufta de ula v'leika peruka. There's no answer to this. So this could be a kasha of Rava onto ula. Okay, fine. Lema tiav tiyufta de barpada. Let's say this is a tiyufta de barpada. The yomer lo paka kedush b'chdi. Again, we said ula. So we said it's a tiyufta de ula. The truth is, maybe we could use this as a raya that again that the kedusha is paka. So according to Barpada, who says it's not, we have a kash on him. So before we see the answer, let's look at this Ran. It has to be in a situation. Okay, actually, let's continue. Let's see the Gemara's answer first. So Amar Papa, Barpada will say, even though normally he says the kedusha is not paka b'chdi, so we see over here it is. Hachikarmer. This is how he'll say it. Im lo omar mi'achshav shlomim. If it wasn't a shlomim first, la'achar lamed yom ola havi. Then after 30 days it will be an oila. So, but if it was made as a shlomim first, it cannot go to an ola, since the kedusha cannot change and go off by itself. So it wasn't that it was a shlomim and then it was turned to an ola, or it was an ola and then it turned into a shlomim, because according to Barpada, he says no, that kedusha cannot just automatically be removed. Rather, you made the statement that if Imlo Omer Machshav, if it wasn't a shlomim first, then that's when it'll become an ola. So there was no kedushas aguf on that animal. Midahavam, comparable ha'omer l'isha, a person says hiskachli l'achal amid yom, marry me after 30 days. The mikudeshes, that they're married, the apple pishin is achul hamois, even if the monies are gone. Let's quickly look in the Ran. It's davka when he doesn't say that now this is a shlomim. Then after 30 days it'll be an ola. But if he actually said now this is first a shlomim, afterwards, 30 days later, it will not become an ola. It cannot just automatically happen. Why? The kedushas aguf lo paka b'chdi, because the kedushas aguf of this animal cannot just automatically be changed. V'lo tema, don't say hani mili kedusha chamor de oila delesa. Maybe it cannot go because it's a kedushas. The oila's kedusha is stronger. Elafil kedusha kal de shlomim lo paka b'chdi. Even when it comes to a kedusha of a shlomim, which is, again, not as strong, also that kedusha is not removed. So that's the chiddush. The reason why it mentions both is you shouldn't think that the din is only when it comes to an ola because the kedusha is so strong, but even when it comes to a shlomim, the din is that you cannot just simply remove it. So we said, again, it's comparable to this person who is mekadesh a woman. So if you look in the Ran, Medam dahavi al ha'imel isha kloimer dachi hechi dahasam afagav doloi chayil kedusha hashta. Even though the kedusha is not chal now, chayil basar zimna, it will be afterwards. Hachinami the afagav doloi chayil kedusha hashta chayil basar zimna. You made the statement now, but the kedusha is only going to take place later after 30 days. Similar to again, if a person gave the money to this woman, even though they didn't actually. It was only after 30 days. So the din is that the kedusha didn't happen right away. It happened only after the 30 days. So pshita lotzricha the hadar bay. What happens if he retracted the carbon or the kedushin? So I can understand it says you cannot retract. So what's the chiddush? So if you hasam choizeres, when it comes to a woman over there, you can retract. When it comes to hektish, we're more strict because even though it's only words, we say the amirasal gavoa to Hashem. It's like actually a masira. It's like an actual action in the eyes. When it comes to a hedget, when it comes to a regular transaction, in that situation you need a maisa, you need a kinyan. So when it comes to gavoa, even words alone has this anchor, this sanctity, this kedusha that you are not able to retract when it comes to that. So we're actually going to stop there. Let's look at this Ran. Daha mekadesh b'shtar. What happens if you instead or mekadesh a woman with a star, v'niskara hashtar kaidim lamed. So not that he gave the money after, and then the money got lost after 30 days, but what if it was a star, and within that 30 days the star got ripped up? So ein mekadeshes. So it's interesting. There's a difference between a star and kesef. Mishum dechi chayil kedushe like a stara. Because at the time of the star of the kedushin, 30 days later, the star is not here; it was destroyed. And here also, all you have are words. So basically saying that we compare it just like when it comes to being makdish something, that we say a mirasal gavoa is k'misirasal hedjit. So we say that same din is when you actually are mekadosh and isha in that way. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Question TB5. because I wrote this in English. So Hoimer Isha Hiskadshi Li L'Achar Lamed Yoim L'May Nafkamin Im Mikadshi B'Kesef O B'Shtar. So this is what I wrote. This is question number 5. If the money is gone, it's still a good kedushin. Mash ein kain by a shtar. The din is if the shtar is gone, burnt within 30 days, it isn't a good kedushin. Okay, that's basically all it says. That's TB 5. So again, we saw that in the Ran that's a chiluk when it comes to that situation. And I think I also have question 4, which is almost identical to that. Mamish the exact same question. Okay, fine. So let's see how they write this for question 4. But even the money is gone. Okay. One more question over here, question 3. Sure, zet oila kol lamed yoim. So this shore is going to be an oil for 30 days. Then it turns into a shlomim. Kol lamed yoim oila lachar lamed yom shlomim. So the first 30 days is the oil, that's a shlomim. So it sounds like the kedusha, even kedusha sakov, the kedusha is removed. Echmetaretz bar pada reisha zu l'shitaso the kedusha l'paka bechdi. So how did he say it? So he said it's talking about bikdishin bit l'demehen, which is actually on the previous daf, that you were makdish l'demehen, right? Which means we're not talking about a situation of kedushas haguf, but rather this is a case of kedushas damim, and therefore that's the reason why that's the reason why the kedusha does change. And also it says ukashit padu, which is not so clearly said, but it says also when you're paid it. Okay, so but again, clearly, as the Gemara Befer said on the previous Amud, that in a situation where it's only your makdish demei, and then of course you're paid to that money. Right, so therefore that is the reason why it happened, because you are able to do this when it comes to kedushas damim, and it's not bechdi. You're poided. Okay, let's see one more question. TA4. Ma tam. What is the reason? Ba'oimer harizu oyel achalam yom she'ein yochel lachzer boy. Why are you not able to retract? So the answer is amirasal gavol k'misirasal hedit v'havali ka'oimer me'achshav. Adkan.